Welcome to Tips, the Townsend Institute podcast series, a show produced by the Townsend Institute at Concordia University, Irvine. This podcast shares stories of leadership, coaching, and counseling experiences that have shaped the lives and careers of our guests, who then provide tips aimed toward helping listeners grow in both their personal and professional lives. I'm Dr. John Townsend, psychologist, organizational consultant, and author of over 30 books, including the New York Times best-selling Boundaries series. I'm also the founder of the Townsend Institute, and I'm excited to introduce your podcast hosts, Dr. Ashlie Andrew and Dr. Gilbert Fugit.
Welcome back, Tips listeners, to our third episode of a 3-episode series with our friends at Lead Like Jesus. Over the past few weeks, we've heard from the hearts and experiences of Lauren Miller and Steve Roboto, and today's guest is just as special. Gilbert and I are sitting down with Phyllis Hendry Halverson, President Emeritus and former CEO and President of the Lead Like Jesus organization, the group co-founded by friend and fellow of the Townsend Institute, Ken Blanchard. Phyllis and her husband currently reside in Washington, D.C., where they lead, coach, and minister to national and international leaders, helping to equip and encourage them to be leaders who are led by God.
A true servant leader she is, Ashlie. Listen in as Phyllis shares her experiences and expertise with us, especially surrounding the need to develop and cultivate the heart of a leader. And if you like what you hear, you can get more of the Lead Like Jesus curriculum right here at the Townsend Institute, as we use this text and resources as part of our course curriculum. Now let's enjoy this sit down with Miss Phyllis Hendry Halverson. Let's get started.
Welcome back, everyone. It's another episode of the Townsend Institute podcast series, and Gilbert and I are very excited to be here sitting down with Phyllis Hendry Halverson, coming to us today from Washington, D.C. Welcome, Phyllis.
Thank you so much, Ashlie. It's wonderful to be here with you and Gilbert.
Glad you're here, Phyllis. Yes.
We are so excited to have you here. You are a former president and CEO of the Lead Like Jesus organization, which of course is very close to our hearts here at the Townsend Institute at Concordia, Irvine. You now hold the title of President Emeritus. So let's jump right in to your work with Lead Like Jesus. Tell us how you first got involved with Ken Blanchard and his team, and maybe how that role has evolved now over the years.
Thank you, Ashlie. Well, I met Ken in 2000. And so when I met Ken, he and Phil Hodges had just started Lead Like Jesus. And they had begun to think about, well, what are we going to do with this idea that Jesus is the greatest leadership role model of all time? And I met Ken when I was serving in Augusta, Georgia in another role. I'd been in that role that I was serving in then for about 11 years and thought I would probably retire there, And God had other plans. And so when I met Ken, he came to Augusta, Georgia to speak at something I was hosting with our Chamber of Commerce. And when Ken came, we had lots of time to talk and conversation. And in that time, I knew Ken's heart. And he said, I want you to come to San Diego. He said, I'm setting up this group of thinkers to talk about maybe what we're thinking about leading like Jesus. And he said, I've been teaching leadership my whole life, and I think Jesus is the greatest leadership role model of all time. And so I'm wondering if you think that's something you could do. And at the time, I actually had a major event that was on the same day that he'd asked me to come, and I told him about that. And he said, well, I'm going to pray it gets changed. It was changed. And I went to San Diego and spent about 9 days listening. And in that time, I started to pray and just said, I will help you volunteering. I will help you get started as a nonprofit and help you work through the mission, vision, and values. And we'll see what happens. I hadn't planned to leave where I was. But at the time, when the time came, God made it very clear that I had put my yes on the table with him many years ago. And I had said, okay, my yes is there. Your job is to always just tell me when it's you and that I will go because the answer is already yes. So when I met Ken and we talked about what this could mean, we decided that I should come to Lead Like Jesus. So I served as CEO for almost 19 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's kind of funny, right? A right-hand turn. You weren't expecting to, oh, I love this role. And then all of a sudden God opened up this other one. And many of our students go through that too, right? They think, oh, I'm in
Yes.
a right spot. And then God has kind of helped them go in a different direction. And one of the things you talk about is the all four of the H's in Lead Like Jesus model. I know that's really critical, but we know you have a soft spot for the heart one. Can you tell us why the heart is so important?
Yeah, that's such a good question, Gilbert, because that was the same question I asked God. Why
Hmm.
is the heart so important? I read Proverbs 4:23, and it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything flows from it. And I questioned, okay, God, why my heart? Because my head, my thinking is very important. And
Hmm.
then people see my behavior. So why wouldn't I guard that above all else? And immediately when I asked the question, I heard, literally in my head, I heard, it's in the heart that you believe.
Ah,
And
yeah.
I thought, okay, I didn't equate it in that moment with Romans 10:10, which is there's a bigger verse there. But I knew in that moment that it's in the heart that you believe. And I also knew John 6:29 that says the work that we have to do is to believe. And then I began to investigate what else about the heart. And as I investigated all of these scriptures that were pouring into me in the moment, I realized, for example, Luke 6:45, it says that out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. So the words I speak actually come out of my heart. And then I began to see, we don't have time to do all of these today, but generosity, forgiveness, love. There's scripture around each one of those, and it marks very clearly that they come from my heart.
Hmm.
So I began to see that there's everything I do actually comes out of my heart. And then I began to understand too that when we think about the heart biblically, we're talking about not just that soft emotion kind of feelings that we have. We're talking about our will, our determination, our soul, everything. It's the essence of who we are when scripture says heart. And then I remembered, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is.
Yeah.
And then I thought about in Ephesians chapter 1, it says, may the eyes of my heart be enlightened. Well, you think about enlightened by your thinking. And yet it said the eyes of my heart. So I began to understand that my heart was so tied, those 18 inches between my heart and my head, and all of that is tied together. But my heart has to be transformed and my head will be informed. And so I think that the heart is so critical. And at Lead Like Jesus, we talk about the heart as our why. It's why we do what we do, it's our intention and motivation. And I'm sure both of you have known people who look like they're doing good things. And then at some point, we realized they were doing good things, but they came at it with a wrong intention, a wrong motivation. So our heart is really critical. A pure heart before the Lord is truly a critical piece if that's how we're going to lead, if we want to lead like Jesus.
I love that. That's so beautiful. The heart is so critical. What recommendations do you have for those who maybe they're not yet fully followers of Christ, right? They
Mm.
don't have that biblical foundation, or maybe they have a heart that they want to love and they want to serve, but they don't necessarily know what that means yet. Are there recommendations you have or directions that you point people or students to help kind of soften their heart for that service and leadership that you talk about?
You know, when you know if you want to serve and you are others centered, there's something about you already that God has placed in you that you don't know yet. that you're thinking about others, that there's a kindness about you. And kindness is very important. So I think as people's hearts soften to look at others, to serve others, I think they are becoming softened even when they don't know it. So I would say to them, search out scripture. Be sure, give this a try. Look at what God is saying about you. Find out who you are in Him, because you're already being softened by Him, just knowing that you want to serve other people. And I think that scripture makes it clear that that's a first step. When we become other-centered, something is happening in our heart, even in that moment.
Well, and so I like that you talked about softened, right? Softening your heart. Probably a lot of leaders get worried when they're like, wait, I can never be soft, right? At my job, I'm going to get taken advantage of. People are going to walk all over me, or other people that want to be leaders. What do you
Yeah.
think? What do you think some of the big challenges are for leaders when you talk to them about soft and embracing these kind of concepts?
Yeah, I think the greatest challenge we all have is ourselves.
Hmm.
I think leadership is an overflow of you. And so the very first thing we have to do as leaders is examine ourselves. That would mean our heart and our thinking and what that means, in ourselves. Do we have pride? Do we have fear? What are the things that we are holding on to? So I think the greatest challenge for all of us, if we influence others, is first, where are we coming from?
Hmm.
What does that look like? How do we view other people? How do we view our work? All of those things. And how do we view leadership? I mean, is it power and control? Is that what leadership means to us? Or does
Hmm.
it mean influence in the best ways? If you have a leader that is really caring about people and caring about their mission, they will care about the people who are going to carry out that mission. And
Yes.
they will
Yeah.
take care of them. They will be shepherds. They will be making sure they have the greatest opportunities that they could possibly have. They'll be sure they have all the supplies they need, everything they need to do what they've been called to do. And so I think that there's nothing soft about leadership. There's nothing soft. It's
Yeah.
difficult. And even when I think about love, we talk about love a lot in Lead Like Jesus. And I believe love is the greatest change agent in the world. But that doesn't mean that when you love someone, you can't tell them the truth. That is part of love. At some point, you're letting someone go from a position in your organization, but it's because maybe they have decided they don't want to be there and their job shows that, it reflects it.
Hmm.
Or maybe it's because they would be better in a different role. And so I think when you really love somebody, you're loving them so much, you will be truthful, you will be honest, and there's nothing easy or soft about that sometimes. So people may see love as soft even, but I think love is hard, and especially when we love well.
Phyllis, I think this is something as we've, studied and gotten to know the Lead Like Jesus material so well, it just aligns so well with what we teach and do here at the Townsend Institute. Our Townsend model for professional and personal growth, we talk a lot about these same characteristics you've just mentioned: the importance of truth, the importance of love, of vulnerability, right? Of
Yes.
showing up with emotional intelligence, but also not shying away from those difficult conversations
Right.
that need to be had, both for the personal relationship and
Mhm.
perhaps also for, the organization's well-being. Um,
Yes.
I think this is wonderful. I'd love to hear more about your experiences. Obviously, we know the work that you've done with Lead Like Jesus over the years, 25 years, right? I know you're now positioned in Washington, D.C.,
Mhm.
perhaps a place of a lot of division and a lot of different viewpoints and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about how you're using love and all of these concepts to help kind of bridge a gap, so to speak, between different types of people or philosophies or viewpoints? Can only imagine that can be, set you up for some difficult conversations that you're having.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that. Nothing changes. We still have to practice love, even when people don't agree
Mhm.
with us. We still have to practice kindness, even when people disagree. And it's really, our opportunity to be ambassadors for Christ in a place where there is division sometimes. But I have to tell you that social media and all of the media that comes around will cause you to think that there's much more division in some ways than there is. There are many people that feel the same and that are working to bring out those things. But for us here, we bring all people in to where we are. And so no matter where they've come from, no matter what they believe, or if they believe anything at all, they are welcome here. In our opinion, and what Scripture tells us is everybody's created in God's image. So people come here and they join the table here, and they are welcomed, they are served well, they are loved well, they are listened to, they are heard. And thankfully, when you earn the right to be heard, which I'm sure you talk about, is so important that people will trust you because you've become trustworthy to them. And what we try to say is that you are valuable, we hear you, we're listening. We also value truth. And so this is the truth that we want to practice. So I think nothing changes no matter where you are. If you want to lead as a servant leader, if you want to lead like Jesus, then you're welcoming people in. You are bringing people in, and they're not like you. They are different. They have different beliefs. We welcome Muslims here. We welcome Jews. We welcome people of all nations come here. And Jesus said, make disciples of all nations. So our job is to welcome them, to bring them in, love them well, serve them well, and hopefully they will see something in us that they feel peace when they come, which is what happens all the time. People come to where we are and they walk through the doors and they ask the question, what happens here? I feel peaceful walking in the door. So there's a peace and a presence that we can't deny. And I think that no matter where we are in a place where we practice the same things we've talked about, whether it's in a secular environment. I think all environments are sacred because we've walked into them and we carry that message as we go.
Phyllis, I love how you said you welcome all folks, right? I mean, so you're not turning away like, oh, I don't think you're going to work, right? So you let all kinds of people come in there, and you're excited, and it seems like they can feel something's different when they come in to in are part of Lead Like Jesus. Can you think of any, success stories, right? If somebody came in, they were really resistant to what you were going to have to say. Maybe somebody's, however they got there. Can you think of any that you've seen a big turnaround with folks after they've gone through and been part of Lead Like Jesus?
Well, when they come to where we are in Washington, we have a big table that people often sit around, and these are leaders of nations I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, leaders of nations, I'll give you one example. There are many. So, we have a parliament member from one country, we have an ambassador from another country, and they're sitting side by side, and they are in warring countries.
Oh, yeah.
They represent warring countries. And they come around the table, and we begin to talk about how we are to love each other. What does that look like when you're in warring countries? And before they leave, the men are holding hands and praying together,
Really?
each other's country.
Mm.
And so it's really important to bring people who have differences together. Our job is reconciliation and bringing peace. And that's what we do here. And so the Lead Like Jesus message says all of that. It is about bringing people together accepting people where they are and helping them move to where God would have them go. And that means that we have a sense of peace and presence in Him, no matter where we are or who we're with.
And then realizing that we're really not all that different,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
right?
not all that different.
We're not all that different.
Someone asked me recently about, I travel a good bit, and they said, so what do you see when you go around the world? And that's exactly what I said, Ashlie, that we're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be loved and to love.
Mm-hmm.
Families, they want their families taken care of. They want their
Yes.
children taken care of. They want their countries well run.
Yes.
There's so much that we are alike. And this gentleman who asked me, he said, that's the exact opposite I thought you were going to say. And we were all different. But I do believe that we're just about all alike.
You talk a little bit about how to maybe heal some of that divisiveness when you've got people in the room that have just different mindsets and experiences. We also have a lot of listeners of our podcast who do actually work in faith-based institutions. They're pastors, they're teachers, maybe they're a children's or a music ministry leader. So what ways do you have to recommend that they can perhaps showcase or maybe even teach aspects of servant leadership and leading like Jesus in their areas?
Well, first of all, I would say model it. You may be the greatest lesson somebody sees. So, and the wonderful and amazing thing about children and adults is they watch, they notice. They notice what you say, they notice your expressions, they notice your face, they notice exactly how you're handling situations. So it's very important if you're going to teach the message that you would live the message as well. And of course, that means when you make a mistake, you own up to it quickly and you apologize and you do what you would know to do around that. But I think every time you talk about Jesus, there's a leadership quality about Jesus that comes up quickly. With Jesus and the children, bring the little children to me, patient, kindness. Anytime we can say, this is how Jesus did, we can bring that up as he is an example and model for us. So I think teaching that as we go is so important to other people around us and especially to our children, that this is what Jesus did. This is how he modeled forgiveness. This is what he did or what he said about prayer. I love that the disciples asked Jesus to teach them to pray. Of all the things that they could have asked him to teach them, that's the one thing that's recorded, is he said, teach us to pray. So when you pray, you tell the children, you tell your friends, this is so important. This is what the disciples asked Jesus to teach them. So I think using Jesus specifically as a model for all the things around leading like Jesus is a very important way to teach lead like Jesus.
You think about that. They ask how to learn how to pray. They kind of, they could have said, "Hey, teach me how to walk on water." I mean, something wild like that. But they went with the prayer one thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
so,
agree.
yeah. So I like that, the prayer, because that's so powerful, and we often forget that. Well, you have seen the Lead Like Jesus organization evolve over the years, right? I mean, from 2000 on till now, and been a part of it, and know Ken's heart and how it is. What are your hopes and dreams for the ministry in the years to come as things change and evolve?
Well, I would say the grand vision of Lead Like Jesus for all these years has been that someday everyone everywhere would be impacted by someone leading like Jesus.
Mm.
And so we're thinking worldwide impact. So just like you, as you're thinking about the Townsend Institute, that you want servant leaders to impact the world around them, wherever they go, that they'll impact the world. And so I think what I would love is that every follower of Jesus, not pastors, not just pastors, not missionaries, not worship leaders, but everyone has a sense of what that looks like, and they impact and influence the people around them the same way that Jesus did. When you think that Jesus invited 12 pretty complicated, maybe not all that impressive people at the time
Yeah.
to be his followers, and in 3 years, the world was changed and turned upside down, or maybe right side up. That's what Jesus did. Then that's what we can do as well. And so it means that we are spreading that message, that we're living that message and taking that message to others.
Well, Phyllis, as we start to come to a close here with our interview, we love to end all of our episodes with a takeaway tip. So we'd love for you to share what's a final tip you'd like to leave everyone with today?
Well, I would say this little phrase is important. Clarity comes in silence. I think for all of us that we need time in solitude and silence. We have such a noisy world right now. And the only way that we can be self-aware, God-aware, is that we have silence with Him. And often we're on our phones. There's so much coming into us. And I would say, put your phones down. Let everything go for just a little while and have silence with Him and see what He has to say about you and about others. And I love the quote from John Calvin. He said, there's no deep knowing of God without a deep knowing of self, and no deep knowing of self without a deep knowing of God. And I think it takes time and silence to get there.
That's beautiful.
That really hits home, right? Because in the craziness of today, right, with phones and social media and everything else out there, to be intentional about silence to get clarity. Thank you so much, Phyllis.
Thank you so much for your time and all you continue to do, with Lead Like Jesus and in your different work. Where else can our listeners find out information about you and the work that you're doing?
Well, they can probably just go online and look up Phyllis Hendry Halverson and just come right with us. And we'd love to talk more anytime with you. We love just the Townsend Institute and the work that you're doing there.
Oh, thank you so much, Phyllis. We appreciate it. And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
If you enjoy the Townsend Institute podcast series, head to our website at cui.edu/Townsend to find out more about the certificates, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees offered through Concordia University, Irvine. With programs in mental health counseling, executive coaching and consulting, and organizational leadership, we have a variety of faith-based programs dedicated to helping you fulfill your academic and professional goals, all the while furthering your competence, character, and connection. Again, that's cui.edu/Townsend.